right, big takeoff, 350.
Okay, takeoff 27 right, 90 Bravo. That's right, first vessel to altitude for 438.
Wow. Louder motion. Wow. How about that? Good morning to you. Kamal Fakraya is watching. Good morning. Blakely, thank you.
Well, hello, good evening, and welcome to quiz number 13, unlucky for some, with me in wherever I am tonight, Norwich, and Abby in London. Hopefully you'll be able to hear us all, and we won't have any gremlins this week. And as I say, welcome to the quiz, welcome back. So we're now re-supporting the East Anglian Air Ambulance again, who are back from furlough. So a form of aviation, I think everyone would agree, does wonderful things for everyone, particularly in this difficult time. So, as I say, welcome to those of you who've been able to join us, and thank you to those who've subscribed offline and also viewing the quiz offline, because we've got up to, I think, well, a high number of quiz viewees, if that's the right term. So welcome to wherever you are in the world tonight. Colombia, lunchtime, Middle East, and Spain, and hope you're all keeping safe, well, and away from COVID-19. So COVID-19 free zone, we're not going to talk about that tonight, but of course we realise that there's lots of nasty things going on at the moment, and commiserations for those of you who are involved in any discussions at the moment about jobs, etc. Difficult times, but we're going to move on from that tonight and have hopefully a good fun quiz. So tonight we usual format. Thank you to Wings Big Jet TV for the opening iconic aircraft sections. Thank you to Lucy Deakin-Scott for some of the photos, and thanks to James Mellon for some of the photos tonight as well. I'm not going to basically try and get them the wrong way around as I did last week. So it's for fun, 1 point per answer, and I'm always right, of course, even when I'm never wrong, even when I put the answers on the screen. Hopefully that won't happen tonight. And for those of you who haven't done this quiz tonight or done it before, the variety rounds are really a mixture of all different things, so you never quite know what's coming at you, and hopefully it's even if you don't know the answers, it's all played on for fun. I'm very quiet. Okay, let me just try and fix that. I'm normally very quiet, of course. Let me try that. Is that any better? Trying to avoid any feedback or any gremlins like that. So we will move on with round one. So round one, question one. So in May this year, I'm getting some feedback now. In May this year, a brand new aircraft took to the sky, a new Cessna. Can you name the aircraft that took to the sky for the first time in May 2020? I think one of the previous quizzes we worked out that Cessna, as well as being one of the oldest manufacturers, had also produced more of Cessna 172s than any other type. I'll thank you for the feedback. I'm still getting a little bit of for the feedback. I'm still getting a bit of feedback, but it'll settle down, I'm sure. So that's round one, question one. The new twin-engine turboprop Cessna that took to the skies. Oh, sorry. We'll get it right one day. With the Zoom link, we have to keep the volumes down, otherwise we get some feedback. Just try that a bit better. So, round one, question one. Round one, question two. We have to have a name the airline livery, of course. Number of those. Name the aircraft type. So, name this airline livery. Ease you in gently. Not sure what the weather's been like all over the place.
Horrible here.
That's not horrible here. 40 degrees in maybe the Middle East. Not sure what it's like in Spain. Not sure what it's like in Colombia. Anyway, round one, question two, name the airline livery. Round one, question three. So I was doing a webinar earlier, and this subject came up, so I just thought we'd introduce a little bit of aviation future. So there's a UK startup company that's gearing up to launch a rural air tourism service with a pair of all-electric Pipistrel Velis Electros, racy name for an aircraft, but it's an electric trainer aircraft. Do you know the name of that startup? It was in the news quite a lot in the recent days. 20 and rainy in Colombia. Moody weather here. Big storm in Spain, 30 degrees. So, UK startup. Quite a topical subject at the moment about how electric aircraft could transform some of the airfields that have closed, or with particularly post-COVID-19, how new people can start up new organisations and new businesses using electric aircraft. By the way, the Pipistrel Velis Electros is the first certificated electric aircraft. First aircraft to achieve certification. No, maybe you don't know that, but we'll move on. Round one, question four, name the airline. while you're doing this, you can be rehearsing or boning up on the iconic aircraft, which hopefully you all got in the introduction. You can see a reflection of the sky in Abby's Fly the Tube picture as well. So might even see an aircraft occasionally.
No, there's nothing really flying over at the moment. It's quite quiet. Unless there's 09s up.
So round 1, question 4, that is. Round 1, question 5. It's always good to see new aircraft being certificated as well, new helicopters. So a new Airbus helicopter type achieved European type certification last week. Just to test your topical knowledge. What was it? What model was it? I know some of you are not quite into helicopters, but we need them as well as we need everything else. Any topical news stories around the world? Or upset Abby, she's gone. Round 1, question 6. Sheffield Airport was one of those airports that might well actually benefit from this new, might have done if it wasn't turned into a development, now an advanced manufacturing site. But when did Sheffield Airport close? I think during its time it provided the best ever airline startup route from A to B, according to one of the airlines, but no longer in use. When did Sheffield Airport close? See, and 747 had an incident at the new Doncaster Sheffield Airport tonight, but everyone was fine. Round 1, question 7. The famous Top Gun question. So we thought we'd have a bit of a theme around the music side as well. So which is the song that Maverick put on the jukebox at the start of the film Top Gun? That famous song. Oh, big up Sheffield. Oh yeah, okay. Vote for Sheffield. Reopen the airport. Although, of course, it lends its name to another airport that we had in the quiz last week, actually. Which triggered one of the questions tonight. So you see if you can guess that link. We came up with a new category last week. So see if you can get that. Round 1, question 8. So this I think was one of those big news stories that I don't know how we missed it, but anyway, the big 3 Chinese carriers, so the biggest airlines in China, on 28th of June, so a couple of weeks ago, took delivery of the first of which aircraft type? So their first of which aircraft type? 28th of June. It's actually quite a big news story if you go into it, but it might have passed you by. Round 1, question 8. I've got my volume very low, so I can't hear if there's any music playing in the background, but you'll remind me, no doubt, either if I'm too quiet or the music's too loud. So round 1, question 8. Round 1, question 9. So a European country has ordered 3 A350-900 aircraft for conversion for government use. Which country is that? So just trailing next week's quiz, I think we're trying to go back to a military iconic aircraft. Not sure if Mark is on tonight, but we'll be trying that again next week. Oh good, thank you Avianca757, that's very good to know. I must look on the map sometime to work out who is furthest away of everyone. Abby can do that. So that's round 1, question 9. Someone made a comment earlier about having Boeing iconic aircraft. We've been trying to alternate, so I think it'll be time for Airbus iconic aircraft soon. Round 1, question 10. A legendary creature, also a bird of prey, gave its name to a Rolls-Royce engine that powered the Spitfire. What is that name of that either bird of prey or legendary creature. Don't worry too much about spelling. I think there are 3 different spellings that we can go for, certainly for the legendary creature. We have to find an extra bonus point somewhere, because currently I've got this out of 49, so we need to find an extra bonus point somewhere to round things up to 50, which we'll no doubt do during the quiz.
Where was the furthest east? Was it Bahrain?
I think Brandon was in Bahrain. Is that right, Brandon? I think we're just trying to do a quick geography test as to who's furthest away. We think Avianca 757 you must be. Round 1, question 11. Name the airline. Oh, I managed to get your credit in here, Lucy. So there we are. Credit Lucy. Name the airline. It's rather expanded from the previous version, just to block out the obvious name. Well, it was obvious to me. Abu Dhabi. Okay. Alright. Round 1, question 12. Name the ATC tower. Which ATC tower is this? Those ATC tower spotters out there. Thank you, Brandon. That might be the bonus point. Who's furthest away?
That's quite close.
Oh, we could do that as a quiz question. Which is furthest away? Round 1, question 13. I thought it was about time we had some Yorkshire Airlines sketch. We did have that earlier in the quiz, but I thought we'd have another question from the Yorkshire Airlines sketch. Again, if you've not seen this, worth looking up. If you've not seen it, you're a bit of a disadvantage, but in the famous Yorkshire Airlines sketch, what is business class called? This is one of those sketches where we could actually have a whole quiz about this in terms of what do they have to eat in economy class? Which aircraft was it filmed in? Round 1, question 13. So we might stick with that theme for the future, just for a few more sessions. Round 1, question 14. We talked last week about Switzerland and having some Swiss questions. So here's a Swiss question. There was a famous, well, I think it was a famous jet. Give you a bit of a clue, it's a bit smoky. Swissair was one of the few companies to buy which jet in 1962. Unfortunately, it didn't live up to its advertising numbers, and customers liked it, but it was pretty uneconomic to operate, and there weren't many made. And just as a throw-in bonus, what year did Swissair start as an airline? Well, Swiss questions. If we want any other country claimed questions, we can do that as we go through. Guesswork always works to me. It's always good when I've got the answers, but if not, if in doubt, guess. It's only for fun. Round 1, question 15, with a bit of it's not very good editing by me. Can you name this airline? No longer operating, but what is this airline? Quite a pretty colour scheme, I think. Oh, Abby's disappeared, and she's back. What was the Manchester comment for? Headboard cockpit Witts? Round 1, question 16. So, South American airline. So here we are, Avianca 757. Which South American airline, which celebrated its 100th anniversary in 2019, is the oldest in the Western Hemisphere? So west of the Greenwich Meridian. Which is the oldest airline west of the Greenwich Meridian? Ah. You've flown an aircraft belonging to that airline. Ah. Oh, ATC Tower. Hmm. So, round 1, question 17. military. Not sure we've got any military people on tonight. But anyway, here we are. Military aircraft. What's this military aircraft? Always looks like a smiley face. I always think the country logo on this. Although they invented the emoji, the smiley emoji. Round one, question 18. Back to the airplane. We talked about airplane last week. So in the film Airplane, Leslie Nielsen, I didn't know this until I did a bit of research, but he used something to great effect with the cast and crew. So eventually the filmmakers had to confiscate what he was using because it was causing a lot of disruption, but apparently it kept everyone alive and laughing and in the right mood for filming in the film Airplane. So this will test your airplane trivia knowledge. What did he use that had to be confiscated? I'm not sure I knew that, James, until I saw that photograph, so perhaps that we can claim that operator, Air Force operator, invented the emoji. Round one, question 19. Which airport is named after Mother Teresa? I mean, which airport, in which country, in which city, of course. Oh no, it's not that. It's a family quiz, Josh, so I wouldn't put that sort of question in. It's not linked to that. I took it as read that it was limited, of course, your knowledge of that. And the last question in round one. Name the aircraft type. What is this aircraft type? And wouldn't you all like one? Well, maybe you wouldn't, but not sure where you'd put it. Put it in the garage, maybe? What's this aircraft type? So I think round one's going to be out of 21, but I know we haven't done the answers yet, but we might need to slip in a bonus point, as I say, to round it up to the 50. So any other questions that people would like to have again? Nope. So we'll go through and do the answers to round one. If you're ready to swap papers, it's after the watershed. Yeah, that's true. Well, if you can watch it again after 9 o'clock. Family quiz. So round one answers, if you're ready for the answers. Do you think we're ready for the answers, Abby? Are you ready for the answers? Good. Right, round one answers then. Round one, question one. The Cessna Sky Courier. I was going through my memory banks as to what different sky things there have been. Skyvan. Any others you can think of? Anyway, so Cessna Sky Courier. Quite an interesting looking aircraft. I suppose it's a bit like a Caravan on steroids. Well, can we have 1 to 6 again? You've just got one answers there, Richard. We'll quickly go through round question 1 to 6, just because Richard's joined us late, if you don't mind. So we'll quickly go back. 1 to 6. So which new twin-engine turboprop Cessna? Well, you know the answer to that one because you just had that, the Cessna Sky Courier. So yeah, Skyhawk. Thank you, Brandon. Name the airline livery was number 2. Round one, question 3. A startup was gearing up to launch a rural air tourism service with a pair of all-electric Pipistrel Velis Electros. Round 4 was name the airline. 5 was a new Airbus helicopter achieved type certification last week. And 6 was Wendell Sheffield Airport close. So for Richard's benefit. So round 1, question 1, we had Cessna Sky Courier. Then we had Oman Air, but you probably guessed that from the registration, the sharp-eyed amongst you anyway. Nebo Air, so maybe not a name that you've... Oh, Skymaster, yeah, thank you. Round 1, question 3, not a name you've necessarily heard of, but something you might hear a lot about. They are launching in the East Anglian region, I think, in Norfolk and Lincolnshire, and are going to use these interesting looking electric aircraft, just certificated as an electric aircraft, and are going to launch this rural air tourism service. So maybe something you'll see more of in the news. Round 1, question 4, Land Chile, the airline. Sky Courier is the successor of the Caravan, yes. Question 5, the H160, the Airbus H160, quite a racy looking helicopter, also in use offshore. Round 1, question 6, 2008 seems like only yesterday, but Sheffield Airport closed in 2008. Not sure who the last person to fly out of Sheffield was. Not actually, that's not very easy to find in the research I could do, but I'm sure someone knows. Question 2. Round 1, question 2 was name the airline livery, which was Oman Air. Round 1, question 7. You've lost that loving feeling. So this is an English version, because of course it's you've lost that loving feeling if it's an American. But because we're British, we have to put the G and the G on. So you've lost that loving feeling. The Wrightus brothers. Harry can't stop singing it now, so she might do a virtuoso solo as the interval halftime, if you pay her nicely. Round 1, question 8. Not a name of an aircraft. Interesting aircraft, the Comac ARJ-21. So the big 3 Chinese carriers have all now taken delivery of their first of this aircraft type on the 28th of June. So it'll be interesting to see how it develops in service. Round 1, question 9. Germany, of course, has taken 3 of these for government use. And you think of the furore that was in this country about 1 aircraft being painted, but 3 A350-900s are being converted for government use. Oh, bonus for the artist. Yes. Why not? Get happy singing. Round 1, question 10. The Griffin. So there's different. So this is one of the spellings, but if you take the legendary creature, I think there were 3 spellings of the legendary creature, or the bird of prey. I think there was just 1, which is this one. But anything that sounds like Griffin is good enough for me. So it's the Griffin. Round 1, question 11. Royal Air Maroc, the airline. Now you discover my secret, Josh. All I do is I just make up words and then create the question that could link to that. But if you do look up Nebo Air in the news, I think it was set up by a Russian, I'm not sure. Round 1, question 12. Milan Malpensa is the tower. Sure some of you have winged your ways past that. Round 1, question 13. Of course, it couldn't be anything else. Alan Bennett class. If you've not seen the Yorkshire Airlines sketch Hail and Pace, then it's worth watching, although maybe it loses something in the translation. Round 1, question 14. Interesting to look at if you ever look at this aircraft on YouTube. One of the smokiest aircraft I think I've ever seen. Was a pretty fast aircraft, but not very economic to operate and didn't last very long. But still one of those slightly iconic aircraft. The Convair 990 Coronado. And Swiss Air started in 1931. So quite one of the oldest airlines certainly that exists. Yeah, I didn't actually see if the mountains were visible in that photo. No, not in that. Not on that one. It was a misty day. Round 1, question 15. Cobalt. Is this the aircraft, Josh, that you said you'd flown? You've flown an aircraft belonging to that airline. Cobalt. Cyprus airline that I think went into administration in 2018, or demise in 2018. Round one, question 16. Of course, couldn't be anything else. Avianca 757. Avianca is the oldest airline in the Western Hemisphere and is, I think, pipped by KLM in the Eastern Hemisphere, who I believe claim to be older than Avianca. I'll leave that to both of you to sort out. Round one, question 17. The Saab Gripen with the smiley emoji on the nose. Round one, question 18. It was a handheld whoopee cushion, so I saw this and I thought this has to go into the quiz. So Leslie Nielsen went round, I think he actually sold them, but he had a whole raft of these handheld whoopee cushions around, which kept everyone laughing between the takes and in the film. And you thought you didn't learn anything from this quiz, so the next barbecue thing you do, Mikey D's, anything like that, handheld whoopee cushion. Not really any link to aviation, I admit, but I just couldn't resist putting that in. Question 19. So Mother Teresa, I didn't know this before this quiz, was Albanian. So actually it's Tirana, Albania that is named after Mother Teresa. Just one of those things that you're not quite sure. You assume you know where Mother Teresa came from, but you don't. I didn't know, so maybe you did. Tirana, Albania. Not sure there's that many of you who will have flown into that airport. And then round one, question 20, the Bombardier Global 6000. Can't. That's very imaginative, Brandon. It's the sort of thing you can imagine Leslie Nielsen maybe slipping into people's sniffing glue. Yes. So that's the end of round one. So out of 21, but you could make it out of 22 if you got the artist for the You've Got That Lovin' Feeling track, and that would then round things up to 50. So we'll say bonus point if you knew the artist, and that will round up the total to 50 at the end of this quiz. So round two, the iconic aircraft. So those of you who saw the intro know that it was the Boeing 767. So here are 6 questions about the Boeing 767, which we'll just run through and just give you a chance to go through these. And if you want to post scores, thanks Barnett, if you want to post scores for the round one, please feel free. It's all for fun, don't be shy. So round two, iconic civil aircraft. What was the 767 originally launched as? So it was originally launched not as the 767, but as another model. Similar but different. Oh, don't worry, it's just for fun, Matthew Craig Taylor. What year did the original 767 fly? How many have been delivered? So we'll say, just to be generous, to the nearest 100. So bearing in mind that each aircraft is still on the price list for around $200 million. So that's a fairly generous margin. So how many 767s have been delivered as of the latest data that I've got? What was the 767? Oh, sorry about the extra apostrophe S. What was the 767 designed to compete with? What was the aircraft that was around that it was designed to compete with? Question 5. It was Boeing's first what? And question 6. Who was the first operator? Clue in the introduction if you saw the introduction. Norman Wisdom is an honorary citizen of Albania, yes. I think there's even a statue of him there. There's a statue of him on the Isle of Man, but he's also an honorary citizen of Albania. He lives on the Isle of Man, yeah. He used to drive around in a car that you couldn't see him above the dashboard. He had a very tall lady with him, and you could just about see his cap above the dashboard. So I'll leave these up for a little while just to... the music completely disappeared. Oh no. Six questions about the 767. There could of course be loads more. I did try and prize an original promo film out of Boeing, but couldn't do that for tonight. I think I also last week tried to prize a promo film out of an organisation, and they wanted $25 a second for the promo film, so I thought that was probably, our budget didn't stretch to that. So, a bit more time on the 767. All those, maybe just because you knew it was going to be a 767 this week, or at least somebody did, or some few people did. Maybe you've already been researching these. Still in production. I believe you can still buy a 767. Certainly the military version, but I think you can also buy freighters. Some rumours that it's actually going to be updated and brought back into production, full production again as a new aircraft. So, round 2. We can always come back if you need any reminders of what those questions are, and we'll do round 2 answers at the end of round 3. At the end of round 3 questions. So without further ado, we'll go on to round 3. So the F-18, the famous F-18 military aircraft, has an electronic warfare version which has a name. What's it called? Barnet Rebel, you read up on it. Well, so there's no excuse. Now you've told everyone, we expect you to get full marks. What's the electronic warfare version of the F-18 called? Should we give a clue? Should we give a clue, Abby? No. No, we won't. Round 3, question 2. I didn't know this until recently, but where, apart from New York, is the other JFK airport? JF Kennedy Airport. Where is it? There are 2. Bit confusing, maybe, but I don't think the other one is that accessible to the type of aircraft that would normally land at the first one. It's on the same continent, just in case you think it's some wacky other country copy. Round 3, question 3. Don't know if you saw this in the news, but the Red Arrows have now got the Public Display Authority, and their new synchro manoeuvre was chosen by the public from 4 options, and the public and I think the Red Arrows voted on the name. Hopefully we'll see some Red Arrows displays this year, but what is the new Red Arrows synchro manoeuvre called, chosen by the public? I think a freighter is list price 767 freighter is, it's a bit sad that I looked this up, so it's $220.3 million to you. This, well, that's list price of course, but I'm sure you could get a deal. Anyone for no particular bonus points know what the most expensive Boeing aircraft is on the list price currently? So as of January 19, 2019, what is the most expensive Boeing aircraft that you can buy? The what? 707. I don't think you can buy a 707. You could buy a second-hand one, could you? Not non-flying. Put it on my tab. Yeah, well, I'm sure you've got a few in the Middle East. Nope, not Matthew Craig Taylor. Nope, not according to this list I have in front of me. No, actually, not surprisingly. No, it's not that one either. 100? It could be, Brandon, if you take the fit-out elements, but I'm talking about list price of the aircraft. And this actually, the BBJs aren't on this list, so you might be right. No, it is in fact the 777-9. Yeah, that's it, Josh. It's the 777-9 or the 777-9X, but the 9-9, which is, as it's now called, $442.2 million US list price. So that was a complete aside there. Round 3, question 4. Can you name this aircraft type? Now you might be able to tell me, I have this sixth sense and I didn't have time to go back and check all the previous quizzes because there are so many, 13, as to whether we've had this photo before, but I like this aircraft anyway, so I thought headboard cockpit Witts, this was the aircraft you flew in, but I don't know that's true. So that's round 3, question 4. Of course, Dave, it's a question of what it's worth to you. And if the 787 is worth that to you, then of course it's priceless. Comes at least with free shipping, though. You have to go and collect it, I'm afraid. I think you get the keys. They'll give you a set of keys as part of the delivery package.
What do they do with the keys afterwards? They just put them in the drawer.
And lose them. Yeah. Round 3, question 5. So one of the supersonic companies, you get a discount if you buy 3 Avianca 757. Oh no, we have to ask Matthew Craig Taylor. I couldn't possibly, because then it'd be a complete letdown then. Yeah, I'm sure maybe you might get a line of credit, Dave, rather than just using MasterCard. It's probably a bit expensive interest rate, but maybe you get a line of credit from somebody, particularly at the moment. So, round 3, question 5. Which company is planning to roll out its supersonic demonstrator this October? And you get a bonus if you know the designation. So it's been in the news a bit, and still planning, last time I read, to roll it out in October, even though with everything else going on. So it'll be interesting to see if they do. It's not a rocket or anything. Of course, it's intended to be a passenger aircraft. Yeah, you get a big discount if you order 115, of course, Brandon. So, round 3, question 6. So, remember the fictional airport discussion we had last week? So, which Spanish airport, which I think has now been renamed, was named after a fictional character? Spanish airport that I think you could have bought reasonably cheaply, and was bought reasonably cheaply a while ago. And so far, I'm sure you'll prove me wrong, but don't say anything in the comments in case we need to do this in questions going forward. It's really, really difficult to find many airports that are named after fictional characters, so we need to invent some. Yeah, I think that's the best way of doing it. Round 3, question 7. What is this aircraft type? Interesting angle. You're talking about question 6, Lucy? Because I think there's a recent link as to how you would know that, maybe, as well. So round 3, question 7, what's this aircraft type? You get a bonus point if you know where the person who took this photograph was flying to. But I don't know the answer to that, so it'll be one of those that someone else will have to answer. I think it could be a good racing certainty, Abby, that it was somewhere abroad. Round 3, question 8. So there was a famous Scotsman called Preston Watson who had a claim to fame, which was later shown to be disproven, but actually there's still a bit of a running battle as to whether he was right or not. Quite a big claim to fame, actually. It's not a particularly small claim to fame, it's quite a big claim to fame, which if it was true would cause a lot of... Well, I should be careful because maybe it is true, but it isn't yet fully proven or disproven. But it's one of those things that pops up every so often. And if you go to this location in Scotland, you'll actually find his aircraft and with the claims that actually what he did was true. Can't say much more without giving that away. Yes, there is a recent link. There's even a link to some of the previous quiz questions I think we had in one of the couple of quizzes ago. Round 3, question 9. Bit of an obscure one, this, and apologies for any Kingsford Smith fans, but there's a hyphen that's crept in here. Why does the naming of Sydney's airport after Kingston Smith appear to be strange? Kingsford Smith was an Australian aviator who I think was the first Australian to fly, or first person to fly from the US to Australia, trans-Pacific flight. Sydney's airport is named after him. Why is that strange? Strange but true. Round 3, question 10. Can you name the airline? Should start, for the spotters out there, I should maybe start blanking out the registration, but what is this airline? Round 3, question 11. This is the did you know about this airline round or question. So it was a long-haul airline, low cost, collapsed in 1982, was founded as a charter airline. The founder was a racehorse owner, and did you know this? His livery was reflected in the racing colours, or the other way around. So his racing colours were reflected in the livery, and there's still an airport that has a bar and restaurant named after this airline. I think it's still open. I think it's reopened after COVID-19. Quite a famous airline, quite a trend-setting airline. Collapsed in 1982. Interesting history if you look at on Wikipedia. Who writes the stuff on Wikipedia, by the way? I know, but there's so much information there. It's great. It's a great source. I know some of it can be a bit needs fact checking, but is a good source. So you worked at the airport in question, and yes, the airport has reopened. Oh, thank you, Josh. So you know the answer then. Round 3, question 12. Name this airline. A vote. Should we delete the registration numbers in these photographs then? Does it make it too easy for those sharp-eyed amongst you who know your 70s? Do you know, oh, here's a question just while we're passing. Do you know what happened to the ICAO airport designator for Sheffield? When Sheffield closed, the ICAO airport designator was reallocated. Maybe that's another bonus point, if you know where it was allocated to. Round 3, question 13. According to at least the site I used this or came up with this answer, so therefore it must be right. Where is the world's second oldest commercial airport? I'm not sure I knew this. Well, most of these I didn't know until I looked up the answers, but that's why I do the quizzes and don't delete the registration and leave the airline. Yeah, that would make it a bit more straightforward, maybe. Delete the registration, leave the airline name on. Would save carving up the photographs in the way that I've had to, so apologies to Lucy and to James for carving up the photos. Round 3, question 14. What's this airline livery? It's actually a link to one of the questions coming later as well, so if you guess that link when you get that question, maybe you might even get another bonus point. Can't really do guess the aircraft type because it's a bit obvious from what's written on the aircraft. Round 3, question 15. There's a link between Coventry, which by the way, I don't think I knew this, but next year Coventry is the City of Culture 2021, unless that's moved post COVID-19. What links Coventry with Sir Frank Whittle, who invented the jet engine? Not that you needed to be reminded of that fact. Coventry City of Culture 2021. Who knew that? I didn't know that. From anyone Coventry out there, no disrespect intended, but I wasn't sure I knew that link. So we need to do a poll. Are we the only remaining free weekly quiz now that's still free and weekly? Reading FC, yes, I remember Reading FC. Couldn't possibly comment, Brandon. Ah. Round 3, question 16. So here's an impressive. This might well, of course, have come from a marketing brochure. So the fighter aircraft that's due in service in 2035, which was announced 2 years ago, will be able to fly unmanned, use swarming technology to control drones, incorporate artificial intelligence, deep learning, and possess direct energy weapons. Sounds like an aircraft that we should have in everyone's airline fleet to me. What is the aircraft called? And also, well, it'll be in the answer, but who's going to make it? Who's going to manufacture it? The sort of thing, if you just send this note to your proposed enemy in advance of any conflict. By the way, here's a few key facts about our aircraft. Oh, it is the Vulcan Abbey. It's going back into production. Round 3, question 17. Who was the first airline operator at Ringway? Now, of course, Manchester. Thunderbird 1. Yeah, it could be. Who was the first airline operator at Ringway in 1938? Well, this could be another bonus point if you know the route. Hopefully those of you from the north of England recognise that we've even levelled up a bit, so we've not, some of the questions previously were a bit southern orientated, including some of the videos at the start, so sharp-eyed amongst you know that we had at least one of the videos at the front was from Manchester, not Heathrow. No, not very stealthy, Thunderbird 1. Still think Thunderbird 2 was the best. Round 3, question 18. Lufthansa, don't know if you saw this in the news, proposed to launch a new leisure airline, long-haul leisure airline. What's it called? Personal view, I'm not sure it reminded me of an airline, but and as we approach the end of the unlucky for some yeah, the Watford Gap North is the north, that's the line. That's true, although Tracy Island I think was disclosed on Blue Peter, wasn't it, as to where they thought it was? I can't remember now. Round 3, question 19. What's this airline? Nearly left the airline name in. Yeah, it's that artificial boundary border when you go through South Mims services. And then last question of quiz 13. The name of the new US low-cost carrier that's founded by JetBlue's founder. And by the way, he founded 4 other airlines, one of which I showed you earlier, David Neeleman. He's launched a new airline, a new US low-cost carrier. Actually, I think it's going to use Embraers as its Embraer 190s as its launch aircraft. What's the name of the new US low-cost carrier? James Mellon, you have a Tracy Island. Don't tell everyone, that's got a collector's item. Not a Blue Peter one, but a real one that you bought. Or maybe you bought for you. Wow. Tracy Island, Abby. James, you need to show, can you send Abby a picture of Tracy Island? James, can you explain to Abby Tracy Island and why it's significant?
I know what it is, but
Oh, Lionel, do you mean you've come late to the quiz? By the way, it's as soon as the quiz finishes, it gets posted on YouTube, and you can play it again as many times as you like. So if that means you've arrived too late, including the Swiss questions, which we put in specially, then it's there. So anyway, that's round 3, question 20. So are we need any more time? Any of the questions again? Those of you who say have arrived late, you can do the whole quiz again if you want to. And also all of the other quizzes apart from quiz 1 and 2 that were deleted by YouTube, I think, because of copyright. So, round 2, iconic civil aircraft. So some of you might know these already. The 767 was originally launched as the 7X7. Purchased one, James. Wow. The original 767 flew in 1981. So at $200 million a piece now, 1,187 have been delivered. So we said to the nearest 100. So at the time, the 767 was designed to compete with the A300, which was probably the first wide-body, twin-engine wide-body in the world. It was Boeing's first wide-body aircraft, and the first operator was United Airlines, which is why I put that into the iconic video at the start. Wow. Tracy Island for your birthday. So that's round 2. So out of 6, hopefully you knew those. There were probably an endless list of questions we could go on about 767. And by the way, if you want to start putting into the comments what you think this civil aircraft quiz after next should be, we normally do military and then civil. Okay, thanks, Lionel. So yeah, so you can put, if it needs to be an Airbus, somebody said earlier, so maybe we need to have an Airbus civil aircraft week after next. 5 out of 6, that's pretty good. Lucy, 5 out of 6, didn't know question 6. Yeah, the first twin-engine wide-body. Sorry if that wasn't, I think I said that, I meant to say it anyway. Sorry, Richard. Twin-engine wide-body. Thank you. Right, round 3, answers. So question 1, the Growler. The F-18 electronic warfare version is called the Growler. The hunter for military aircraft, yeah. Round 3, question 2. So JFK Memorial Airport is in Ashland, Wisconsin. Probably not going to confuse you if you were aiming to fly into the JFK airport, but nevertheless there are 2. Round 3, question 3. The new synchro maneuver is called Crossbow by public vote. Round 3, question 4 is the Dragon Rapide, of course. Quite a very graceful aircraft. I think there's still one flying at Shuttleworth as well, is there? I think I'm right in saying, James, this is at Northolt. Of course, you can see that, obviously, from the background. Round 3, question 5, the Boom Supersonic, so the XB-1 is due to roll out in October. Round 3, question 6, Don Quixote, either with a J or an X. Spanish airport, now renamed, was named after the fictional character Don Quixote. I think it's now called Ciudad Real Airport, which is where I believe the link comes with Lucy and your point earlier about the Virgin 747s flew from Manchester and I think are now parked there to be whatever's going to happen to them. Round 3, question 7 is a 767. Round 3, question 8. So the Scotsman Preston Watson, there's believed to be evidence that he flew and powered flight before the Wright brothers. So if you look it up, there's still a... yeah, thanks Josh. There's still a running battle as to whether Preston Watson was the first to fly powered flight before the Wright brothers. So you can imagine that's not something that is going to go down easily elsewhere. So it's a bit of a running fight. Round 3, question 9. So Kingsford Smith was actually from Brisbane. So there's a memorial to him in Brisbane Airport, and actually the aircraft that he flew, not the actual aircraft, I think it's a model of the aircraft he flew Trans-Pacific, but Sydney's airport is named after a person from Brisbane, which I'm sure causes some amusement. Round 3, question 10 is Tunis Air. Round 3, question 11, Laker Airways, of course, and the airport that has a bar restaurant named after Laker Airways is in Southend. Freddie Laker made most of his money from racehorses and then started an airline. I think at his peak of his money making, he was buying one Rolls-Royce, a new Rolls-Royce every week. Round 3, question 12, Air Algérie. Oh, thank you, Lucy. Round 3, question 13, Hamburg is the world's second oldest commercial airport, according to one of the rankings. Round 3, question 14, WestJet. So a link to the answer to question 20, which we'll come to. Round 3, question 15. Sir Frank Whittle was born in Coventry, which explains why, presumably, the airport has a Whittle Way. The Tempest, BAE Systems Tempest, is that frightening sounding aircraft that is due in service in 2035 and is apparently still on track and still being funded. Oh yes, we've got that one, Josh. Your self-assigned bonus point. Abby guessed that it was going overseas, which she thinks deserves a bonus point, but probably we need a bit more detail than that. Round 3, question 17, KLM were the first operator out of Ringway, and they flew that iconic aircraft, the DC-2, to Amsterdam. And funnily enough, you could have a request stop at Doncaster. So there's an interesting route. Any of you who know anyone from KLM now, to reinstate the request stop at Doncaster on the way from Manchester to Amsterdam. Round 3, question 18. The new just landed at Palma from. Oh, was it at Palma? I thought. Oh, it looked like it was at Manchester. It was sunny there. I suppose that's the clue, Lucy. Oh, I didn't see that. So the new Lufthansa leisure airline is called Ocean. Round 3, question 19 is Air Belgium. For any of you who are going through the alphabet thinking of what it was, I'm sure you knew anyway. Oh, beside Gatwick. Oh, thank you, James. And then round 3, question 20, Breeze is the new US low-cost airline. David Neeleman also founded 4 other airlines, including WestJet and JetBlue, of course, as it says here. So he's a bit of a serial airline starter, as well as other things, and is still planning to start Breeze, even in the current climate. So that's round 3 out of, well, it was originally 22, which, if we stuck with the original thing, made it a round total of 50. But please post your scores and let us know how you got on. Yes, they do, actually. We could do a quiz questions around roads around Heathrow and Gatwick. It might be a bit boring, but we could start off with some.
Do your trick as to how to know where you are in Heathrow that you taught me.
I'm sure most people know that.
Quite a lot of people don't. I've been surprised.
So Abby thinks that you don't know maybe that the roads in Heathrow on the north side start with an N, on the east side start with an E, on the south side start with an S, and on the west side start with a W.
All road names.
Road names.
You always tell where you are when you're in Heathrow.
Yep. So in the fog, you know where you are at Heathrow if you're driving round. Wouldn't recommend doing it in a 777 or a 787 maybe, using the road names as a guide, but on the road. So 22, I'll read out some scores then. So Barnet Rebel 13, 21 out of 50 Dave, 15 Headboard Cockpit Wits, 13 out of 50. Yeah, so it's fun though, isn't it? Hopefully We're not putting these into a league table. 22, 16.5, Richard Kenyon. 25, Brandon, you didn't know about the road names at Heathrow. Thank you. So next time you go to Heathrow, see how far you can get that fact.
It wasn't me, I went to my dad's.
So 25, Brandon. That's true, Dave, yes. Do you think that's because people are looking at the road names and telling other people, saying, "Oh, did you know? I didn't know that." Cool name. Yeah, we could do a few questions. I'll think up some questions about where is this road. Then, yeah. Lucy 18. Matt, you did have a steak dinner in the middle, yes, but you no doubt you'll do the quiz again later. 30 in total. Thanks, Barnet Rebel. James Watt. Yeah, so there's a whole lane of road names. Ah, yes, but do we know any fictional aviation road names? Ah, there we are. That's another one. Thank you, Josh. Yes. Yeah, that's true. I haven't yet found a road at Heathrow that isn't on, but I'm sure at some stage there'll be something that someone breaks that tradition. So anyway, thanks very much for tuning in tonight. We're planning to do this weekly, and as we said last week, until the end of July, which I think is another 3 quizzes. Anyway, I don't know, is another 2 quizzes? I can't remember now. So we get to quiz 15, which is the end of July. Then we're talking about going monthly, and maybe we'll make some changes, including different rounds and things. But anyway, so thank you for tuning in tonight. Loyalty is much appreciated. If you didn't get a chance to see it all, feel free to tune in on YouTube, and it will always be there. As far as we're concerned, we'll leave it there, and we'll be back next week, same time, same place. And if you're aviating, take care. If you're not yet, then I'm sure you will be soon, and we'll look forward to seeing you the other side of another week. And thanks again, and speak soon, and we'll say good night and goodbye. Good night and goodbye. Abby. Bye. She's not going to sing. Good night.